So today's lecture is going to introduce surfacing. Surfacing is just another way of modeling. We've learned how to use solid modeling before using extrusion and revolves. This technique is slightly different, and it's used in a lot of injection molding companies because it gives you more control over your models, as you can see here. It's very patchy though. It's very tedious. Um, it requires a lot of patience, but again, there's a big industry using this, and you can really achieve some really impressive objects with this technique. Usually, solid modeling is used for like machining application, where it's very orthogonal. It's like the whole wizard, it's very flat, very straight. But when it comes to super complicated models in 3 dimensions, usually surfacing is something you you use for that application. So the start file for this is going to look like this: a bunch of interconnected 3D sketches. So we already learned about 3D sketches, but now we have to learn how to build surfaces uh, on those sketches, and this is what this tutorial is about. And we're going to embed all these sketches into surface steps, and that's what's going to complete this. So this is going to help you for your homework. So on the homework you have to surface an airplane, as you see here, and it's giving you a bunch of pointers, right? Just follow the pointers here, follow the tutorial, and your final result should look like the airplane you see here. So we're going to go ahead and complete this tutorial from start to finish, and that's going to be the goal for today. So the first step is going to be to use the boundary surface tool, and you're going to get 2 boxes. One box is for these profiles, and the other box is for the guides. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's give that a shot. Boundary surface. First of all, you got to turn on your surfacing tools. Right click, surfaces. Okay, they're right here. But if you don't remember what icon means what, you can hover over it and you'll get a tooltip. Or you can just type in boundary surface on the search box. Okay, boundary surface. So it's very similar to the loft tool, but it gives you a little bit more control. On the homework, you're going to use the loft tool. On this, you're going to use the boundary surface tool. So as you can see, you get 2 boxes. The first box are the profiles. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, as we discussed. And then you have the guides. 4, 5, 6, 7. And you see how it's kind of bounding the object? And that's what you want. Okay? Click OK. And then there's the surface. So the next tool is to add a plane on the top and bottom. So this should be pretty straightforward. It's using this planer tool. Okay? And all you gotta do is just select the edges. Select the edges and it will build the surface. So it did it on the top here, and let's try it on the bottom. See? You just pick the edges and it generates it. So that's the planer tool. Okay, just to close this off. Now we're going to work on the little recess on the bottom. Okay, so every plastic bottle has that little recess, okay, for stability reasons. And the way we're going to approach that is by extruding with a draft. We're going to take the sketch, extrude it with a draft, trim the bottom, add a planer, and knit the 3 surfaces. Okay, so again, you got to really figure out your approach whenever you work with surfaces. Otherwise, you're going to get a mess. So we're going to try to extrude the inside 0.5 inches at a 45 degrees. Let's give that a shot. Extrude this sketch 0.5 at a 45 degree. Alright. Click OK. We can't really see it because it's inside the container. But if we use the surface trim, right? Surface trim to remove the bottom. Let's see what it says. It says do a standard remove all of the bottom and select the extrusion from the tree. Do not select it from the graphics area. Select it from the tree. And then we can remove the bottom. So let's see if we can pull that off. So we said standard. So it's selected from a tree. Surface extrude 2, I think. Yeah, I think it's the second one. And then, well, it depends on where you are on your tree. It should be the last extrude that we built for the bottom. Okay, it depends where you are because the name is gonna change. And then remove the bottom. Alright, so we say remove the bottom. Let's see what we get. You see that? The bottom was trimmed off. So that's exactly what I wanted to achieve that lower recess. Then I'm just going to add a planer here. Just going to add a planer to complete this. And like I said, I'm going to knit the pieces together. Okay, knitting is a way of connecting surfaces. So you see how this is blue? Whenever you have a blue edge, it means the surfaces are not attached. So to attach them, you have to knit. So we're just going to select these surfaces, click OK. And you see how it's black now? Now that it's black, those surfaces are knit and they're attached, meaning I can use tools like the fillet tool, and it's going to connect. Otherwise, if the edges were blue, I would not have been able to do that. Now what we're going to work on is the neck on this model. You see the neck here? Alright. If this was solid modeling, all we'd have to do is just create a circle and extrude it up to the cap. But with surfacing, it's going to be a little different. What we're going to do is we're going to take a circle, a sketch, we're going to split and delete the surface, delete the inside, yes, circle, and rule the edge so it creates the neck. So it's a slightly different procedure, okay? So like I said, we're going to split and delete on here, delete the circle, rule the edge, knit, and then we can add a fillet or anything like that. Okay, so let's give that a shot. I'm going to go over here and we're going to use the split tool, split line, this on there, on projection. Click OK. So now we get a circle that we're going to delete. This is the delete face button, okay? Click that. Don't delete and patch, don't delete and fill, just delete. And now we have an edge that we can use. We use the rule tool on this edge. On this edge, okay, which is normal to surface. On this edge, and it's going to be 1.5. 1.5 until it goes inside the cap, just like that. And just like we already learned, we're going to knit the two, knit, and we can even add a fillet later. We'll do that at the end, the fillets. But that's how you create the neck. Alright, the next feature is going to be the handle. So let's take a look at that handle. Okay, so there's quite a bit of things going on. The first thing I'm going to do is probably extrude a sketch, the trapezoid. Yeah, I'll show you what I'm trying to say. We're going to extrude the trapezoid like this, so it overlaps. Then based on this intersection, we can trim, as you see here. We're going to then extrude in two directions. A sketch, it's going to go up to body on one side and up to body on the other side. And from there, we're going to make it hollow so that we can knit the two pieces together. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one step at a time. Okay, so again, what we're going to do is extrude this trapezoid 6 inches apart. Then we're going to trim it, and we're going to get the results that you see here. So that's sketch number 9. Alright, sketch number 9. Alright, first of all, this has to be knit with that. I forgot to do that. So I'm going to knit this with this. Okay, now it's one piece. And now we're going to do our extrusion for sketch number 9. And like we said, it's going to be 6 mid-plane, just like that. Then we're going to trim. And let's see what we're going to trim. Okay, mutual, both, remove selection. Okay, let's give that a shot. Mutual, 1, 2, remove this and that. Let's see what it gives. See that? Okay. And if I went too fast, feel free to play and watch it over again. Okay, but I'm just following the instructions here. So that looks good, but now we need the handle, right? So we're going to extrude sketch 10 on both directions. So let's see what we got. Sketch 10. Okay, we only got 3 sketches left. Again, we're done when all these sketches are embedded inside these buttons, inside these features. So it's going to be sketch 10 that we're going to extrude up to body. Not up to feature, up to body. You see? It extrudes all the way up to the surface and then it stops. Gotta do the same thing on the other side though. So I'm going to do extrude up to body on here as well. So it stops there. Okay, that looks good. Now I need to knit this to that. So if I do a section view, that's okay. But you see how I have a surface here? That's not going to work. In surfacing, you have to create a shell. A shell that touches itself exactly at its edge. You cannot have a T. You cannot have a branching surface. If you want this knit to be successful, it has to be a very clean, hollow shell. Just like you see here. See how it's hollow? That's what we got to do. You're going to come across that issue on the airplane for your homework. On the airplane, the only way you're going to be able to knit those wings is if you create a hollow shell like this. So this is what we're going to try to do now. Alright, so we're going to do this by following this step here. We're going to turn on the trim tool. Then we're going to pick mutual. We're going to pick this body and that body, this body and that body, and we're going to keep selections. The reason we're keeping is because I don't want to I don't want to try to select the inside surfaces. It's just a little inconvenient. I prefer just selecting the outside and say, hey, keep selections. So I'm going to say keep this and that. Okay, let's see what we get when we click OK. See that? See how it's hollow? When I trimmed, I said keep the outside, delete everything in between. And this is how I was able to get that shell. So now that we have the handle, okay, looks pretty good. And again, we're going to round that up later. Now I'm going to work on this logo here. So the way I'm going to approach that is by first, I'm going to take the sketch and split and delete this surface. I'm also going to offset it. Offset means it takes the surface and pushes it some distance. Once I have the offset and I have the deleted surface here, I'm going to rule the edge, the outside edge, until it touches the back offset. Then I'm going to knit the two and round everything up. So that's how I'm going to approach that. So, okay, let's give that a shot. So this is the second last sketch on this, and we're going to split and delete. Split it on here. So now as you can see, it's displayed there. And now I'm going to offset. So offset surface, and let's see what I believe it's 1/8. 1/8. Yeah, 1/8. Okay, let's see if it's in the correct direction. So we want it to be on the inside, so I'm going to switch direction by clicking that button. Then I'm going to delete the one on the outside here, because we don't need it anymore. And I'm going to start adding the rule button. Okay, so 1/8 of an inch on the inside, so I'm going to switch the direction. I'm going to turn on the trim and knit just because it's going to save me a little bit of trouble to do it in that step. But again, because there's no tangent propagation, I do have to select each of these by hand. Okay. Okay, so there it is. Let's click OK and let's see what we get. Okay, it looks good. I'm going to do this again. I don't know what happened to my surfacing tools. That's alright. Pick rule. And I'm going to switch the direction. Okay, looks good. Now I have to knit all three of these together. Because only after you knit can you add the fillets. Okay, so now I'm going to add a bunch of fillets on this. Because when you mold, you want this to be well rounded. And don't worry about doing this in multiple steps. Because I don't think it will let you knit. I'm sorry. It will let you do a fillet like this all around in one shot. So I'm just going to take it one step at a time and add a fillet here and there Okay, so as you can see, I've added some more of the fillets. Now, what I'm gonna do is trim this. Trim. I'm trying to cut this in half so I can copy this to the other side. So it's gonna be mirror. We got a split on the front. Okay, okay, I see what's going on. Trim on the front. Let's see what we're gonna get. Trim on the front plane for this body. Is it standard? Yeah, it was standard. On the front plane, which is here, and we move this half. Okay, remove this half. Click OK. And now we can mirror. Mirror on this plane. Mirror. Well, actually, it's going to be bodies to mirror on the front. Okay, there it is. It's on the other side now. All right. And if you want, you can even knit these two pieces. Yeah, see what happens. Can you knit? Yeah, there we go. So now it's one piece. And if you even want to make this even more fancy, you can thicken this object and make it 1/8. Let's see what happens if we click this. Okay, so now there's actually some thickness to this, you see? All the way around. There's thickness on this container. Okay? So that's the process. That's the process of using the surfacing tools. And again, if you look at some of these models, you will see that the process is the same. You split, you delete, you knit. So it's pretty much the procedures I just showed you over and over again. So the more you practice, the more you'll be able to get used to this surfacing technique. So anyways, that concludes the introduction to SolidWorks surfaces.